Hey, Vector. What's up? Let's go. I know. The glare got me. Sorry. Pretty cool view of the halo. Hey, wake up. It's almost sunset. Hey, bird. I've never seen you this clear. So what's up with Atlas, right? Doing some cool stuff and nobody cares. I wonder how it did that, how it flew and then just kind of decided to come back. Like no turning, just like reverse almost. Here's another thing that I saw that I still have a hard time looking into, but if you turn that one on really slow, there is an object that is actually hovering around. It's very hard to see, and I'm pretty sure it's Atlas. It is what was where that tail ended, where it went into what looked like a circular figure with curves like this, with like a figurine inside like this. It came right out of the middle. I guess what I'm saying is, like, does that mean that you could do Atlas? Like we could do some, we could have our own Air Force. Not joking, y'all. We need our Air Force. So, like, we should do some kind of test. Where's Atlas? Prove your worth. What happens if I ever need your help, like, immediately? It would probably be better for the people to be like, I ain't even gonna try him. I don't want to have that thing on my back. What are you looking at? Oh, wow. So I dare you to bring Atlas. Let's just see how fast. Well, obviously, so I have an idea of what am I dealing with, right? Am I playing with fire? Oh wow, perfect. Thank you. The blurriness has become so bad that this is my only chance to actually enjoy this through what I'm seeing on my screen right now, because it will never be this good again. And I don't know if it is something that nobody has control over. Like, YouTube just isn't good enough to support such quality. I mean, maybe not yet. I don't know, honestly. It doesn't make sense. That looks like, oh my god. At least what I'm trying to say is, that's tough for a cloud to split like that. But the thing is, that's tougher is, how are you supposed to actually look what's inside? That's like inside of the box. It probably is gonna look like it's in front of it or something terrible, if you can even see inside of this area. Which really hurts me. I'm like a chicken laying on my eggs. I always have to check my babies, and it's like, oh no, what happened? Oh, you're smiling. That's all I needed. Alright, back to the show. Is this the keyhole everybody always talks about? What's funny is, like, now that I say stuff, it got worse. But now that I say stuff, I don't know. I would have hoped that somebody would have been like, that looks too much like a human to me. I see something that abstractly looks like an eye, but this thing's like, yo, I'm a freaking cloud, Brandon. Give me a little bit of time to evolve, because whenever this started, we had no characteristics. We were nothing. They were nothing. Look how fast they have evolved. And I bet, I don't know, just by my intuitive feeling, that this one day will reign enough and man will evolve into whatever this is. These new things, like they say, it isn't from our solar system. So that means that our quote unquote soul, if you think about it literally, is not made up of these particles. These are coming from another spot. So what we're witnessing right now is something taking over and basically building on top of us. And we can't do anything about it. Look at it. It's like, dude, I'm building on top of you, but I'm making the same things that you make, but better. So it's like, just give me my space. Unfortunately, this is where the question comes, like, what scares me is this thing down here. I think it is unique. That's why this new stuff wants this. And now I've seen them say it on TV. They're like, yeah, there was something that would be this type 1 maybe, that is using the sun. Okay, that's obvious, right? But maybe our sun has different particles that we don't even know about that gives us our unique abilities. So this thing may be like, wait a minute, because it showed up. It didn't have eyes. It had no facial features. It showed no signs of like trying to communicate. When I first started this, it was just like, what's coming out of the sun? Then it turned into, wait a minute, that's going to the sun. Then we go, I could continue for a very long time, as you can see. So these solar particles that have come off of it, now we're mixing with these new things. And how it works is just like a nebula. That is a sun slash hybrid with whatever this new space particles are. So like when the eye showed up, and I've seen pictures of this thing, like the eye, I saw it. But what if like I was to say that those things are so far apart that like the eye would show up maybe sometime a long time ago, thousands of years ago. So the eye showed up. It was what is, like, I guess if you were to be really observant, that was what they believed in. Okay, now that made that one really cool, because it was an eye, right? Well, let's say like before, back in the day, maybe what other objects, like, I don't know, I guess I see animals. Well, but the thing is, what I'm saying is, the eye showed up with the eye, and then it went away. But then other objects started to show up, and they weren't the same objects that was telling me in my, my map of the stars. So it's like, okay, you're this nebula. I know, right? I probably just gave a lot away. So you have a lot of, nebula would be something like, I guess like if you were gonna make like a snowball, that's your snow, maybe. And then it would turn into a sun, like it would ignite. So what if this new particle that is showing some kind of intelligence basically copyrighted the sun's like blueprint or its DNA? That means that it doesn't need us anymore. It can go wherever it wants and then do what it just did to our sun, like almost like a disease, like getting a, like, you know how viruses, they basically, I know, it's pretty insane, but here's the one funny part. They came with all love. They knew when not to. Oh, look at that, let's see. How long did it take? How long has this video been going? 14 minutes? Dang it. I need wow. I need better okay, yeah, I'm kind of like stuck, as you can see. That's a shame. Anyways, so like these new energy fields that are breaking the laws of physics, which are like opening up portals, that's where I'm gonna go. So let's say this is another portal, which is maybe, I don't know. Well, maybe all of these, like the Egyptian eye, we might have gone into some portal, you know, and the Egyptian people were able to witness it. But at that time, maybe space was still big. So that was over there. Now, let's say now, today, like I'll just put it like a constellation, let's say, like, they now are doing the same thing. But the problem is that that is the worst. When they showed up with love, it was like the movie Jurassic Park, where it was like the Velociraptors and like Chris Pratt. It was all cool with them, and they were really nice. And it was like, why would they do anything bad? And then whenever they figured it out, because it says in those ancient texts, they know and they can see. Well, it has an eye. Why would they lie? You know? It probably took a lot of effort to get that written down. Why would they do all that work just to lie, right? Okay, back to reality. So I've seen the Christian fish. Yeah. Well, I am assuming that we might have gone into a portal. And in that portal, everything that we experience is a whole new universe of potential. Like in this portal that had, I guess I would give you the biggest hint. It was whenever Cancer was holding the sun. So we went inside of the quote unquote manger, what they would say in biblical days from Christianity. So do you see what I'm saying is like, whoever wrote those things down or drew the picture of that fish, we might have been in that portal. It's funny though, currently, I'm assuming that, let's say that that basketball that is everything starts to get closer, and all these constellations and nebulas, star potential is now so close that they're doing what they did to our sun. I guess you could call it terraforming. So now it's like, oh no, now entire everything has got these eyes and everything's even smarter. It's like, oh no. It's so funny though, because it happened like super fast. And people started to do bad things to us. And it changed from like, I would say, no, everything was love. Like you saw them hugging each other, and like you could see whenever it would go to the sun and like rip it apart, it was gentle. It would take like a little bitty thing and it would go and it would hover around it. Nah, whenever it's upset and it tries to like prove a point, it'll literally rip it to shreds. And that's why it's like they say the sun goes through all these trials and tribulations, probably because something like this is back. And it's like literally having to do everything it can to figure out how to survive these new portals, these new things. I think that's just my idea. I'm rambling, but here's the crazy thing. What happens if our sun, since we went into this black hole that everybody's saying, now what if we're at the bottom of the black hole? Now let's say light, yeah, everybody says light can't escape. But I don't understand where we would be. Maybe the black hole would just, maybe our, I don't know if our sun has something unique, is why it would be so important to all of everything on Earth. That maybe the sun, I don't know, maybe not. or maybe it's the moon. Like, from my research, I know, right? I'm over this. I'm done. Like, I'm bored. So what my research is thinking, like, I don't know if it's a sun, because the sun per se could potentially, you know, like a candle or a fire just be turned off, but the moon does have a little bit of something. I'm starting to wonder if the moon could easily become vaporized and then go over there with sun, taking a little bit with it. Go hide it behind the moon, the dark side, and that's going to keep us alive, because currently we're in a dynamic universe. So these laws of physics mean nothing. This is breaking the laws. It's manifesting a portal right before our eyes. It's manifesting that portal right there because it knows that it can only be seen right there. You see how smart it is? Anyway, so let's say that right now, until the sun can finally get out of this thing, I don't know. I'm thinking it's always got to be a way out. But maybe the moon is like keeping it from going in there, but everything else, I guess that potentially light, and we're just getting hit by like the particle collisions from light, maybe. And like I said, our sun might have gone down there too, like the sun, but it's still keeping that color is what the sun is made of. So I guess these that kind of fade, well, that is potentially, like I said, like gasoline to start a star. So light that up and you got a little bit of what you could call our sun, right? The end. Now this is where it gets sci-fi, Hollywood. What if right now this our, I guess you would say maybe like spaceship Earth, and it's like, okay, so our sun is like hibernating, maybe. I don't know. There's so much philosophy I could think of behind this, but maybe the sun is like inside the dark side of the moon, and possibly that's why our moon changes colors. Potentially, like the red possibly could also have other particles, not just the sun in the back of the moon. And the moon also gives us different kind of emotional energies, which is a whole like idea, because if you think about this, if like I'm theorizing, if all of the constellations now, like I said, we're in the bottom, like the funnel, this is the bottom, and that is everything, all hybridizing, like the movie Transformers, I would assume. I'm hoping that I can just keep by these words. So like Transformers happen, we got some new kind of they say alien technology, or some kind of a intelligence beyond belief, because what I saw what it did with this, and it stopped and went backwards, that's insane. I would be like, you're crazy, Brandon, if I just told somebody that. But I showed somebody that, and they said, you're crazy, Brandon. So I was like, okay, whatever. But that's my story, right? Like Forrest Gump. I have a lot of questions that I could get answered by y'all, and y'all probably would be enlightened to hear my questions, just so y'all guys could be like, yeah, this guy's onto something, but he's a freaking idiot. All he needed to know was this, and he would be freaking genius. And I'd be like, then why don't you just be genius? Right? But you gotta talk to me. It's not fair to just take it and then try to run off with your own ideas, just possibly because your ideas already have popularity and acceptance. And then it's like, you may see this and be like, uh-oh. And then it's like, yo, if you just let me talk to you, maybe it isn't uh-oh. Maybe everybody's gonna be celebrating, you know? Maybe an engine needs all of those things to keep us running, especially quantum entanglement or string theory may be what we think of as a dynamic style universe. So people who like are like, dude, dynamic universe is stupid. It's like, yeah, you might be right, and we may be a constant, but maybe since our sun kind of is having to go through portals and go through black holes and basically become none. Just pray that the next morning when the conditions are right, it's going to create a fusion and, you know, make heat for us and light, obviously. I don't know, I guess that's it for now. Have a great night. I think I talked a billion words. I don't know, there's something else though. I guess I'm sorry if anybody got offended by the way I talk. I don't know. But I really got bored, like, I guess now that I've figured out, like, everything, something even deeper. I'm bored with all of this. This is boring to me now. I want to take y'all to another level, but I absolutely will not say a word on the air. That's for dang sure, alright? Alright, y'all be great.